I mean, where the fuck should I really even start?
What's up? What's up? All
What's up,
right.
Holly? How you doing?
All right. So this week we're going to talk about the news. We're just going to hit a few real estate news headlines and talk about it. So welcome back to the Realtor Rant. Here we go. Let's jump in. So the first one I wanted to touch on is the housing bill. So the housing bill, so it went through the House. It was passed. The House passed it. Then it went to the Senate, but the Senate revised it. So now it has to go back to the House for approval. It is expected to be approved next week, and then it'll be signed into law shortly thereafter. So this does look like it's going to happen. Bullet points of this housing bill. So it is essentially banning so institutional investors that own more than 350 single family properties will be banned from acquiring more. That is my understanding of what that provision says. I do believe there are some caveats to that that they haven't fully released. So there's essentially restrictions on purchasing more. But that's the bullet point there. And then beyond that, the goal is to increase housing supply. So of course, the kind of clickbaity headlines are always that institutional investors, Blackstone, etc., are the big bad wolves when it comes to housing affordability. It's going to support more apartments, more multifamily, modular homes, manufactured housing, and community bank lending. So it's basically the blueprint is to reduce regulatory restrictions that have been kind of impeding those spaces from getting better financing and from community banks participating and competing in the mortgage lending space. It is going to encourage accessory dwelling units, ADUs. Of course, it cannot force municipalities into approving ADUs, but the bill will be encouraging ADUs. Side note, there are bills going through in states. Arkansas already passed it. There's one bill going through in Georgia to make it so that municipalities are not allowed to stop you from building an ADU. One ADU per single family dwelling. So there are already some bills kind of going through different states to be more ADU friendly, but this bill
and that would have a lot restrictions, I would presume, right? For an ADU to be built, they can't restrict you, but a lot has to be a certain size to be able to properly fit the ADU, additional parking, things like that.
Not lot size per se, but more setbacks. Building requirements have to be, so your sewage, perhaps your parking, setbacks, that sort of thing will have to still be, taken into consideration. But there's not. So in Arkansas, for example, you don't have to go through an ADU permitting process anymore. It's just,
which is great,
a building process.
On cost and regulatory red tape.
Yeah. So they will be using certain incentives. This is kind of like a carrot versus a stick approach that they're taking. So they're going to be using certain incentives to local municipalities to get them to embrace this direction that they want to take the country as far as housing. So they'll use things like grants and different federal money to get them to work with them on reducing their zoning restrictions and streamlining maybe their building permitting processes, modernizing the way they do things. So I like all of that. What do you think? Let's go back to, and so that's kind of the crux. Those are the main points of this housing bill. What do you think about the whole like Wall Street banning institutional investors from buying more than 350?
Well, I mean, what comes to mind directly is that if they're institutional buyers, they can just open up another entity. And what kind of, oversight is there going to be to regulate that, right? Because if it's like you can just open up another entity, I mean, well, that's like $150 on Sunbiz in Florida, and boom, you're back in business for another 350 single family home units. My other thought to that is in Florida, we don't have an inventory problem right now. We have a buyer entering the market, more of an affordability problem. So in my mind, I would like to see a little bit more about how we're actually going to address the affordability issues so people that can actually start buying these single family homes that they want to make more of. I mean, we're building homes like crazy in Florida. It's where's the buyers and the affordability of it. So I wish there was a little bit more addressing the issues that like we're seeing in Florida. I know, each state is different. What about your state?
Um, I mean, pretty much the same. Like, so my thoughts on this whole Wall Street thing is, number one, this whole thing has been way overinflated. The economists that I listen to, that I trust, have said that as well, that this is such a minute problem that this is like a political thing. I mean, everyone thinks that Blackstone, which everyone says BlackRock, but it's actually Blackstone that owns so much real estate. BlackRock doesn't even really do real estate, but whatever. But there's just all this like kind of conspiratorial, like they're just, they're the reason why we can afford anything. But the truth is, like, it's such a small percentage. I mean, it's such a tiny percentage. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's like a tiny percentage. I don't even know if it is a percentage of single family homes that are owned by institutional investors. The vast majority of rentals are owned by mom and pop investors that own, less than 5 properties, and then primary residential investors. So to me, like, yes, are there markets in this country that do have a higher percentage of institutional investors that have gobbled up single family, affordable, lower, entry level homes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So perhaps we should address that. I'm okay. I'm not saying I'm totally against having a cap, but to say like that this is the golden ticket to getting us out of this housing affordability crisis, like, no.
And why 350? I mean, that is still a significant amount of single family homes for one institution to own. And I agree with you. It is more mom and pop type of investors. And, it's, I don't know. I agree.
Like
It's so minute to actually fixing the core problem of like what is going on in our housing industry. It just seems like it's more putting a Band-Aid on something or them having a reason to be like, oh, we're working on it. We're not addressing the issue. And it's like, you're putting a Band-Aid on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like you said, I mean, the first question really that both of us had was, well, why don't they just create another LLC and buy it and have the deed in the other LLC? How is the government going to be tracking that?
Right.
So, yeah, like nobody really knows the answer to this question.
Yeah, I think there's more questions than answers left with this one. And again, why are we not addressing interest rates? Let's get people into homes so that they can start building wealth for themselves.
Amen. Now, the other issue that I see with this, Alana, is so this bill will be incentivizing more multifamily. I like the incentivizing more modular, and modular homes have come a long way. There's a lot of good tech in that space. So to find better funding mechanisms for that, I think that's a good thing. But for the multifamily, what I was thinking was like, okay, so we increase the multifamily equals increasing rentals. Increased inventory in rentals reduces rental rates. Reducing rental rates reduces buyers that would otherwise perhaps buy, because if your rental rate comes down but your housing prices are still here, then why would you buy? And so I'm just trying to think through this, but like I don't see how that's going to make housing purchasing more affordable. It may make rentals more affordable, but I'm not really seeing where that would help with housing prices.
100% agree. Very, very well said.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Or are we going into that design of you will own nothing, right? Or is that the bigger, isn't that like kind of in the distance for 2030 that you will own nothing and you'll be happy with it?
Well, young people, the trend is they don't want to own houses.
Yes, that is true. But is that a defense mechanism because they can't afford to buy houses?
I think that's part of it, but there is a cultural phenomenon as well with remote work where people just don't want logistically, it might not make sense. And also they just don't want they don't want to be tied down. They want to be able to move freely. So there is that nomadic culture. I don't know how much, if that's like a majority, perhaps it's not,
Sure.
but that is a subset of the Gen Z that
But the fact remains the same that to build the fastest way for individuals to build wealth is through homeownership and purchasing real estate.
it was. What if the rules are changing?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
We're in a whole new frontier.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, okay, let's move on from this, but the housing bill is definitely a headline, so just kind of keep your eyes peeled for that, folks. Okay, second one, and this is just a quick kind of wanted to hit on it, is the pending home sales are at a 6-month high. That's as of May. And I did kind of see that in my local area as well with the stats. It does look like home sales pending are up. Are you kind of seeing that where you are too?
Yes. However, that being said, this is the busy home buying season as well, right? So you kind of have ebbs and flows through seasonality throughout a year, and April, May kind of start that peak. So,
But it
how
does
does
seem
that play into, the stat?
it does seem like the peak is a little later this year for some reason. We did like April and May we're still kind of slower here. And it seems like national data supports that too. It wasn't the peak that we're used to. It seems like
Yeah.
June is starting to be is looking better. Or maybe
Right,
I'm
but
a month after.
that
Maybe
was
it's May.
May's numbers, right? That was for May.
You're right. I'm probably
Yeah.
thinking of May, whereas normally
Yeah.
maybe March and April would have been a little busier. They seemed a little slower than
Yeah,
usual.
May is really a peak month for us.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. But
Yeah.
still, 6-month high is good.
Yeah.
So not much to say here. It's just like that's a hopeful, optimistic news headline that maybe buyers are accepting where the interest rates are now, and they're finding homes that do fit their budget. So that's a good sign.
Well, and we've seen home prices come down a bit too. So I think, having that level out in home prices and there being more inventory,
Mhm.
it's promising to, it's a good time for buyers to get into the market
It
right
is.
now.
I agree. Okay, and the last headline, which this is kind of a curveball. I thought this was pretty weird when I when I read it, but Bed Bath and Beyond is buying Fathom Realty.
I don't even know what to say. I guess what comes to mind is like, are realtors that work with Fathom, are they going to get like free staging now? I mean, are we going to get, if you work at Fathom, can you get home inventory to stage homes? Is that going to be like a value proposition that Fathom can offer? Yeah. I don't know where else to go with this, because didn't they just file for bankruptcy? Aren't they going to a complete e-commerce platform?
Yeah, I
Slightly
thought
confusing, but I'm here for it.
they were going out of business, and then I remembered when I read this that oh yeah, they're switching to e-commerce. But I was literally just telling my nana like yesterday that Bed Bath and Beyond is like out of business, and it's just funny. I read this so Marcus oh god, what's his name? I always want to say Marcus Aurelius CEO Bed Bath and Beyond. I had no idea he was the CEO of Bed Bath. Marcus Lemonis is the CEO of Bed Bath and Beyond. I had no idea that he was the CEO. Some of you may know that name, Marcus Lemonis. He's kind of famous for he used to be the CEO of Camping World, and he's just this kind of legendary CEO, rags to riches story. I actually saw him speak once in person at this it was like an event for children that were creating businesses.
Oh.
Randomly went to, I don't remember why. Many years ago. But anyway, Marcus Lemonis is the CEO of Bed Bath and Beyond, and he's kind of famous for turning companies.
Oh, yes, I do
around.
know. Yes, I do know Marcus.
Yeah.
Lemonis.
He has
Yes.
a pretty famous story. He used to be obese as a child, and he was very badly bullied, and he had a very traumatizing childhood. Anyway, he's an interesting character, but he is very famous for turning companies around. So maybe he's cooking up something really unique here with this acquisition. This is very interesting. So yes, Bed Bath & Beyond is closing all of its brick and mortar. I thought they already had, but maybe they're still winding down, and they're switching only to e-commerce. And they're thinking here with this acquisition is that they're going to be a one-stop shop for homes, home buying, home lending, financing, and home
Furnishing. I'm here for it. I think that this is fun. I did not recognize him by name. I had to look him up, but I recognize him by face, and seeing him on The Prophet and some of his other The Fixer, some of his renovation shows. I feel like he goes in and is pretty tough on the people. It's very dramatic, and then it's like this, elaborate turnaround, and everybody's very happy at the end of it. But it's painful getting to that point. But there's a method to his madness, and I'm here for it. So we'll have to stay in tuned with what happens there. I'm intrigued. And maybe you should look into the staging idea. Leftover furniture. I'm here for more ideas if you need them.
So those are our news bulletins for today, and we're just gonna make this a quick episode. But please leave a comment and tell us what you guys think about the housing bill, or how your market's doing,
or if you're with Fathom and you have more
deets
on or inside scoop on the acquisition. We're curious. I'm here for it now. I'm invested.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let you guys go, and thanks so much for tuning in. We will catch you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's today's rant, friends.
If you loved it, share it.
And if you hated it, share it anyways. See you next week.